DeFi Kingdoms.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, guys, wherever time zone you're at.
We do have a couple more people joining us here on the stage here in just a second, and it's right at 2 o'clock, so we'll give it just another minute and then we'll go ahead and get started with our mechanics AMA. All right, now that everybody's here, I see that y'all are already learning and some of you already have your hands raised. So we are going to stick with that same format. We're going to answer some questions that we've already taken in ahead of time. Then we'll bring a few people up on stage to ask questions. Feel free to keep raising your hands. It's not a problem. It'll queue you up. If you do have your hand raised and your question gets answered, please do unraise your hand for us just to save some time instead of bringing people up on stage for no reason later on. To kick us off, I wanted to turn over to Hubert. I think everybody here knows Hubert, and then I believe Hubert was going to let Dagmore and Nonlinear Penguin introduce themselves as well.
Thanks, Mullen. Yeah, hi everyone. So yeah, usually Fox is here, and he usually gives kind of a state of the project kind of speech here, and he's not able to make it right now, so I'll do my best. Though, I mean, I am on the mechanic side of things, so there's some pieces of the puzzle that I don't really work on, but this last week, let's see, we've had, we did have some issues with the RPC server and Harmony that kind of slowed down our update. But we did finally get to the point on Friday where we were able to get things pushed out, and that was a pretty big push. We did a lot of refactoring of things on the back end just to make sure everything was working as best as it could, and also prepare us for the future editions that we have coming up. Let's see, there was one thing about stamina that we're going to talk about a little bit later that didn't get in quite yet. We're still working to get that put in, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. However, we did also get the remaining potions that were kind of waiting on the back side there with Herbert, our resident alchemist. So you can now make, I believe, 10 different potions, which are all the potions that we initially planned on. There's always a possibility that we're going to be adding more down the road, but at least for now, those are the 10 that you can look forward to using as we get more features put in for like combat and other things. So I guess, yeah, with that all said, I think, we have a lot that we're working on towards the future here. There's a lot of different features, some things that we brought up, some other things that we haven't mentioned. Yeah, we're excited to talk about what we can today. And I do also have the other two members of the game mechanics team here on stage with us today, so I'd like to give them a moment to introduce themselves. Let's see, so I guess we'll start with Dagmore and then Nonlinear Penguin after that.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Hubert. Really glad to be part of the team here. It's an amazing project, as you all know, and it's been really a tremendous opportunity for me to be able to work with Penguin and Hubert and the rest of the team. So I'm really glad to be involved here, and look forward to addressing questions and also developing the game mechanic with the team here.
Awesome. Thanks again for the intro, and thanks everyone for being here. I'm Nonlinear Penguin, or also just Penguin. I've been on the team for I think a little over a month now, and it's just been an incredible opportunity. My background is in like modeling very complex systems, and like that's exactly what this is, and it's really cool to see how all the work we're doing on the mechanics side influences the game, and how it makes the game hopefully more fun for everyone to play. But yeah, thanks again, everyone.
Awesome. So with that, we'll go ahead and kick off with our first question. It comes from the Golden Eel on Discord. I'd love to see a rare item implemented where you can change a hero's primary job. Hubert, did you want to talk about that real quick?
Sure, yeah. So we kind of there was another topic similar to this that came up about changing like the profession gene of a hero with a different item. And at this time, we're not planning on doing anything like that that's going to directly change the genetics of a given hero. The whole summoning system and the gene system is kind of designed to have that kind of luck of the draw feel to it, and any item that lets us kind of bypass that, I think, is somewhat breaking the intent of the game. So I'd say very likely that's not going to be something in the future, but we always leave everything open just in case down the road we do see some use for something like that. But right now, I don't think there is.
Perfect. So our next question comes from Lobster Persona, also on Discord. I'm going to summarize the question. It's essentially about miners earning XP and profession points comparatively to, for example, fishing and foraging. Probably a pretty similar mechanic breakdown to gardening as well. So, Dagmore, did you want to talk about how those kind of play in together?
Sure. So there has been some, questions, concern about, how equally distributed and how equal the points and the XP that's credited and the rewards for each of these different professions. And so we've heard that, and we've gone into to double check, make sure that as far as the layouts, that there is equitable as possible. But these are unique professions, and there are going to be differences between the two. And so well, I think that we've checked and made sure that they are equitable. We are aware of kind of what the sentiment is, but we've checked, and we do think that they're appropriately placed as far as the game mechanics and the probabilities for different outcomes. Yeah.
Very nice. And I think too, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but part of the outlook too is on overall rewards. So not just XP and profession points, but the actual rewards themselves. So when you look at quests that give jewel rewards, those also have to be accounted for versus a bloater, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Perfect.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into, what goes into each one of these and how they, outcomes that are possible. And so that's right. There's a much larger picture that comes into play as far as determining outcomes, not just what you immediately see there.
Awesome. Our next question comes from Heisenberg, who I believe was also on Discord. Right now, owning more heroes pays off linearly. Any quests requiring multiple heroes should have additional benefits if done with a full party. Create more demand. That's essentially the summary of it. Is, are we looking at implementing more benefits to questing with parties versus questing solo? Penguin, did you want to take that on?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So with these first quests especially, we wanted to be very mindful about the reward mechanisms and make sure that they aren't creating or amplifying any major differences in player demographics that already exists. That being said, though, so while these initial quests are rewarding more linearly, we do have a lot of quest lines or other mechanics in mind where having a multitude or diverse set of heroes is going to be more beneficial. For example, when it comes to traveling around the map, or the PvE or PvP mechanics that are coming up in the future. But yeah, that's a very good point, and we are very mindful of it.
Awesome. Always excited to see what's coming next. Moving along, our next question comes from Wired Top, also on Discord. How long in the future will the extra profession quests be implemented? Will we see a more advanced fishing quest at the docks, for example? I think actually, Penguin, that one might also come to you.
All right, cool. Yeah, 2 in a row. Again, very good question. So last week, the creative team actually shared some teasers for how we're going to be adding to the current Serendale map. And I think there was a little teaser on the Crystal Vale map as well. But we have a larger map that's coming, and you're going to need to be able to travel around it. So we're working currently on like what those mechanics of traveling will look like, and what's going to come with that. For example, the different quest lines, profession quests, as well as more story-driven quests. And with those, your heroes are going to be required to travel around the map to complete them. And it's with those mechanics at least, where we expect these higher level profession quests to be put out.
Very nice. Whole lot of good stuff coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, for anybody who has not seen those teasers of both Serendale and, yes, a little bit of Crystal Vale, there's actually some penguins in the teaser. They're posted on our Instagram, so go check those out.
Definitely check out the penguins.
Yeah, we have penguins for Penguin. We have Herbert for Hubert. We got to get some ravens in there for Dagmore, so we can just complete the trifecta. So our next question comes from B Don. With level 5s available now, level 5 heroes, will there be some kind of visual indicator or filter for heroes summoned with boosted stats? Did you want to talk about that?
Yes, and that's a good question. So yes, we do want to be able to show that you can see that a hero has been augmented or enhanced in some way. This is something that right now it's in kind of the front end's hands to create, but we have given them kind of a list of requirements for things that we need. I don't have a timeline available, but as far as things that we do want to be able to show, for sure, any hero that has received any bonuses from spending additional Gaia's tiers and summoning with like heroes above level 5 with those extra bonuses. We're going to have enhancement stones coming fairly soon, and those also will be doing a similar thing to what you can do with higher level heroes. So we need to be able to show the bonuses from that. And further along the lines too, once we start getting story quests and things going, there's some details about that I think will be useful for players to be able to see when they're buying and selling heroes as well. So yeah, definitely we're working to make some upgrades there. I am excited to see it when it comes, but it's not out quite yet. So once we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to maybe tease a little bit of that, and then hopefully we'll, before too long, be able to have that in the game. So you guys will be able to take advantage of it.
Very nice. Yeah, on a broad spectrum, I would say we're always open to and looking at adding more ways to search, filter, differentiate your different heroes. So that's definitely something that we always have in mind. And then we were going to go to this question from Aura of Dawn. We heard that there's a balancing change for the gardening quest. Do we have a sneak peek at what it is and when it is going to be implemented? Penguin, did you want to talk about that?
Yes. Cool. All right. So, with the gardening quest, it was very special when it first came out. It was the first quest that gave direct jewel rewards, and it was also the first quest to be pulling from the reward fund or the quest fund. I've seen them both called. I don't. Yeah. But when we first released it, we wanted to be careful with the reward scheme there. Make sure that it was still rewarding, but that it wasn't going to put too much stress on any of the other systems in the game. But when it came out, we saw some of the data that was surrounding the rewards for the gardening quest, and we wanted to rebalance the mechanics there, mainly to benefit the majority of the player base. So with that, we did make a couple major changes. The first change is that there's now a minimum, or there will be a minimum jewel reward per stamina used gardening. And this is mainly to address the situation that we saw a lot of, where it was players were getting almost negligible or like close to 0 joule after like spending hours gardening. So there will be a minimum joule reward for that. And then on top of that, for each set amount of stamina spent, there's going to be about a 10% chance of some flat rate joule bonus. And depending on whether or not you have the gardening gene, that joule bonus is going to be larger or smaller. Those are kind of the main changes that are coming with the gardening quest, and I think we're slated to have that come out pretty soon.
Yeah,
So-
Oh, sorry, Bolin, if I can add a little bit more real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess as far as like implementation, we're trying to be a little bit careful about giving a specific date, just because sometimes things come up and it has to get delayed, and but this is something that's very, very close to close to being done. On the mechanics side, we've already defined all of this, and it just needs to get into the smart contract and get tested. So we're getting very close to it. It could be, I would say likely within the next 2 weeks. But again, that's with a probability associated, not 100%. So hopefully sooner than later. But anyway.
And it sounds like the bonus mechanism might be pretty comparable to the mining bonus mechanism. Not identical necessarily, but same concept at least.
Similar concept, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I know there's a lot of work that goes into balancing that. And obviously, we want every quest to be rewarding in its own way to make sure people are getting a return on their heroes and on the time spent questing, but at the same time, not drain our quest fund with level 0 quests, which leaves more room for more rewards for higher level quests. So there's a lot of work that goes into that from these 3 guys in particular, and it's definitely something that they spend a lot of time making sure is balanced. The other thing that we were going to talk about was the stamina rework that Hubert mentioned at the beginning. Dagmore, did you want to fill us in on some updates there?
Yeah. So currently, stamina does not it does not resume. The recovery of stamina does not resume until after a quest is completed. And so the obvious issue here is that heroes complete the quest timer, but kind of remain in this kind of odd limbo area where they're kind of stuck in the quest, but not actually recovering any stamina. And so we wanted to address that because it really kind of brought about a bit of a feel bad and kind of this like, what is my hero actually doing? And also when you check back in and now you pull them out of the quest, but your hero now has no stamina, but they've not been doing anything. So it kind of didn't really make sense. And so we made some adjustments there. And so in future, we will have stamina will recover after the quest timer has completed. And so there won't be this, kind of dead zone, this limbo where the heroes do not recover stamina.
Awesome. And I know one thing that kind of goes with that a lot of people ask is heroes regenerating stamina while queued. But then when the quest starts, it bases off of the amount of stamina that they had when they queued. Did you just want to touch on that real quick?
I probably have Hubert discuss that in particular just to make sure that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's one thing. We were looking at what we could do here, and that's one thing that I was hoping we'd be able to include as, like, for example, if you send someone gardening and he has like 20 stamina, but it's going to take like over an hour before his queue is up and he starts, that he would be able to use all the stamina that he recovered up to that point. Unfortunately, just looking at what that would take in the smart contract to implement, it looks like that's going to be a bit too much work and a little bit has kind of too many pitfalls associated with it. So we won't be changing that, but we will ensure that the time that's like spent queuing for and recovering stamina is included in the final calculation, so that that stamina is recovered when you complete the quest, and you'll be able to get that hero questing again sooner. So unfortunately, that's one thing it's not looking like we're gonna be able to add. So
Perfect. Some things have too many variables, unfortunately, and especially queue. There's a lot of moving parts there, so that makes sense. One kind of special question that we wanted to throw in comes from Neil First on Discord. He mentioned that he wasn't going to be able to attend, but hopefully he listens to the recording later because I think he'll be very excited to hear it addressed. But the summary of it was using Gloomhaven combat system as a basis for our combat system, and specifically asking if Hubert might be familiar with the Gloomhaven combat system. So I was going to let Hubert talk about that for a minute.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks, Neil. Or Neil First. I will say that actually I own Gloomhaven, and I have kickstarted Frosthaven, its sequel, and I love that game. I've probably put in like I don't even know how many hours, probably over 400 hours playing Gloomhaven at this point. I'm not sure anymore, but it's a really great game. I really like its combat system, so that's a good suggestion. I will say though that we're not really looking at kind of a strategy RPG style game with this. We're looking at more kind of like a turn-based, similar to like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, or other kind of Japanese RPG style game, where it's kind of like a time-based system where each participant in the combat has kind of an initiative score, and they will get to take turns doing their actions back and forth, and kind of having heroes just lined up, and you don't really do movement of them as part of the whole combat system. So I have thought about doing something that's more strategy turn-based. I don't think it's in the cards for us, but we'll see. We're right now in the process of prototyping the combat system, and depending on how things turn out with that, maybe we'll make some changes. But I definitely do like the suggestion. It is a great game, and if we could have something that worked like that, it would be cool. But I also think that what we're doing right now is also has a lot of potential. So we're gonna continue down this path. So
Only 400 hours. It sounds like you're basically new to it.
it's probably more. I'm not good at estimating. I played so much of it.
400 hours is basically one game. So at this time, I am going to start inviting some people up on stage. I've already sent a couple invites out. When you join the stage, please do mute yourself and wait for me, and then we'll get to you. But we have our first person on stage right now, Lakonda. If you want to go ahead and hit us with your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so first of all, I'm kind of new to the game, but I really like the graphics and stuff, and congrats to the dev and the whole team. But to be honest, my question just got answered like 10 seconds ago. I just want to ask if you already know like how the combat system will work, like if it's like for the quest, we make the quest and then we just get to see what the rewards are, or if we can play a bit by ourselves, like I don't know, maybe something like Pokemon, I don't know. And that was my question, but I think it got answered.
Yeah, I guess I didn't specifically say like how much your player participation is going to be in the combat. So that is one thing that I can comment on. And good question, by the way. The one thing I'll say is what we're trying to do is to include a system where the player has some control over how much time has progressed during combat, and then can see like kind of, for example, you run it for like 30 seconds and combat's not over, but you've seen kind of what's happened in the 30 seconds, and then you can make some adjustments to how your heroes are behaving. Since it is a smart contract type, we're doing this with smart contracts. There is time required to submit your transaction, and the gas fees associated with that. So we don't want it to be like so transaction heavy that you choose every single action that your heroes make, but to be able to have kind of sets of AIs that you as the player create for each of your heroes. So say, for example, you have like 3 different AIs that you set up for this knight, and one AI is like just go full on attack, one is go and try to be defensive, and one is try to heal. And you can the hope is that we can have it set up where you will have some time pass, You can see how things are going. You can change the AI of your heroes and let more time pass, and then change the AI again. But that's kind of where we're going. And we're, like I said before, we're still prototyping things and seeing where things are at. So don't take that as like for sure guaranteed that's the way it's going to be. But that's kind of the direction we're exploring right now.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I just thought it would be cool, like if the skill of the player can also decide a bit if we win a fight or not. But that's cool.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you there. And the intent with this is for it to be, to give the player some chance to, control the course of combat. There will be some limitations in what we can do though. So.
All right. So thank you for answering, and having a nice evening.
Thank you, Lakonda. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I did want to throw out a couple reminders real quick because I forgot to prior to this. That was a phenomenal question. Please do keep all questions game mechanics, as that one was. That is what we are talking about. And then I forgot what my other reminder was, so it'll come back to me. Metas, go ahead and hit us with your question while I'm thinking.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for all your transparency during this entire development process. My question is kind of a long one, but also pertains to this transparency that you've shown so far. It's long, so I'll just begin. So most of the community, or at least nearly all of us, know and understand that the developers had some kind of say in how exactly they wanted their Gen Zeros to be when they were minting them, sort of as a reward or an incentive for the developers. And I think this was a great decision, perfect way to incentivize developers. But given the recent new information about, or that has been discovered about what potential future game mechanics may come, there's some mud in the water, let's say. So specifically, a small part of the community, or maybe all of them, I'm not sure, has become aware that the skills that will be most likely involved in combat are actually discovered by pulling the data from the blockchain. So we know that there are 2 active skills, 2 passive skills, and that each of these skills has 4 different genes, just as every other gene in combat. Whatever the mechanics of those are, I'm sure you won't want to spoil them. But the interesting thing that most people found was that the heroes numbered 0 to 20 or 1 to 20, so the ones that were granted to developers as incentives, have the basic gene levels at the dominant level, but they have higher rarity levels or something similar at the recessive genes. So for example, they have more advanced genes for skills in recessive parts, or they have an advanced one or a transcendent one. And this became quite worrisome for some people, as the advanced gene for the skills in the recessives and the elite, and especially the transcendent ones, appear to be extremely rare in the rest of the population. Long question short, the point mainly is if you either want to elaborate on how these skills might work so we can understand what the impact was that the developers might have had when minting these Gen Zeros. And on the other hand, if maybe you guys as a whole or as a team, maybe not today, but in the upcoming days, want to make kind of a statement about being transparent about the exact level of control that was given to the people that were able to mold their Gen Zero.
Okay, yeah, I can answer that question, and thank you for bringing that up. This is actually something that we were not aware of at first when we created those, and it wasn't our intention ever to allow the recessive genes to be anything other than the basic genes, and that was the case for all the genes except for those ones. And I'm not sure what happened to cause that to happen, but yes, you're right. What happened there is the randomness did allow genes that were not the basic level to show up in the recessive gene slots for those 4 genes. That is something that we want to fix, and we've been discussing for quite some time now how to fix that. And I don't really have anything to announce in terms of what we're going to do, but I will say, at least when I was made aware of it, I stopped summoning with my hero, because I kind of see those as just for each hero that gets created with those recessive genes, it's just creating a bigger problem. Is they weren't earned through the normal mutation system, and we want to make sure that we do something about that. Now, as far as like tracking down each hero that has lineage to the first 20 heroes, that does take a little bit of effort to do, and then what we're going to do about that. Like I said, I don't have anything to announce right now, but we are aware and we do want to make it right, because that was not our intention. And as far as what those skills actually do, they are mostly intended to be used for combat, though some of them I think I kind of planning to have it be used for something else that I don't want to say right now. But in general, though, they will be, kind of like how you have a profession gene or you have your two stat genes. These will be genes that provide your character with a specific skill, passive. It might be like a passive trait type thing, or an active. There are also active ones that you can use. And they'll be just based on genetics. There will be advanced ones that you can get, just like you can get advanced classes. There'll be advanced versions of these passive and active genes, and those advanced ones will be more powerful than the other ones. But as far as like details about what those are, I'm not going to say right now. I think does that answer your question, Medes?
Yes, that's incredibly transparent. And just my 2 cents, I know I can't speak for the rest of the entire community, but I don't think it's a problem at all that these genes were different. I was just asking about transparency or the level of input that was granted. I mean, the developer team absolutely deserves the best heroes, in my opinion. And if it's 20 heroes, I don't think it's that big of a deal for the entire gene pool. It's just interesting to hear you guys talk about, and especially that you're already aware and trying to solve this.
Yeah. Thanks again for bringing it up. And yeah, as far as just your last point, as far as the level of control we only had control over the dominant genes. We did not have control over setting the recessive genes for any of those heroes.
Awesome. That answers my full question. Thank you guys so much, and good luck. You've been great.
Thank you, Medes, as well. And yeah, a lot of that was the visuals as well. I think that was the kind of big thing, was being able to, Isla has purple hair deal. So JMS, if you want to go ahead and kick us off with your question, we're going to take a couple more, and then we're not going to be able to get to everybody today, unfortunately, but we will take a couple more.
Yeah, thank you thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask you guys questions. First of all, is regarding locked jewels. So basically, it was when the game came out, it was supposed to be locked until the unlocking process, but in recent periods, actually, people have been able to trade the locked jewels. That is directly going against core game mechanics, where you're not supposed to move your locked jewels, or at least they're able to use it without, for example, doing mining quest or gardening quest. So what specific steps is the team taking to prevent this affecting the integrity of the game itself?
Let's see, I think maybe I'll take this one as well. Sorry, Penguin and Dagmore. So as far as like the moving of locked jewels goes, we did implement that feature in the smart contract to be able to move your locked jewels to another wallet. And our intent with that was in case you needed to switch wallet because your wallet was compromised, or because you wanted to switch to like something that's more secure, like with a hardware wallet. And we wanted to be able to allow that, allow the player to be able to move those. I guess as a consequence of adding that feature, some now are starting to, sell their bulk locked jewels to others. At what I'm seeing is kind of a much lower rate. As far as what we can say about that, the feature to move the locked jewels is there. It is kind of this is a decentralized game, and we don't really have a way to control, how people decide to move around their assets. It was not our intent to, kind of create an economy around those locked jewels like this. You still can only send locked jewels to another wallet in bulk, so it's not like people are able to completely trade around things like they could with just standard tokens. So it is a little bit different there, and in the end, the amount of locked jewels that exist hasn't really changed. It's just they're kind of changing location in the wallet, like who owns the wallets. So when the unlocking period starts, the unlocking will go to the people that have control over those. And I guess as far as from our perspective, again, we didn't intend for that to be what was happening, but we also don't have a way to control it, and we just know that there is a lot of risks with that function. It is possible for you to lose all of your jewels if you use it incorrectly. And there's nothing that we on our side can do about it if you lose those. So, we would of course recommend that you use it as we intended, and know that there is definitely risk involved if you do things wrong with it. So, please be careful with whatever you do.
Just to tag a couple things on there real quick, I do want to plug, we do have our NPC coming soon that will have the transfer lock jewel function, which, as Hubert said, has kind of been the intention since the beginning to allow for compromised wallets or moves to hardware wallets. So that NPC is coming soon, and that NPC is being specifically designed to address those security concerns of being able to lose your lock jewel in every way possible. Also, just a general reminder, as a project, we do not recommend or endorse P2P trading, and we don't allow it on our social platforms, so please don't try it. But also, as Hubert said, there genuinely is a lot of risk. I won't even try to count the number of DMs that I have gotten personally from people who have just lost their lock jewel balance entirely. So if it is something that you decide to do, please make sure it's done correctly, because if they're gone, they're gone, and that's not a fun conversation to have. JMS, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Then, my other question is, with the game growing and, for example, expanding to different realms and ecosystems, what specific steps is the team taking to lower the barrier to entry for new players that doesn't have a lot of money? Basically third world countries and stuff like that, to take some of the players from Axie Infinity.
So I think the one thing that we're working to do is have something similar to what has been done in other projects, which is to have kind of a scholarship type program, where players that have a lot of heroes could allow other players to use their heroes and pay them some amount to do so. That's one thing. And then, of course, we do have a lot of our we do a lot of contests and giveaways that have rewards that are high enough that, if you manage to win one of those as well, that kind of can give you enough to get started as well. But I think a combination of those two things are the best bet. And then, of course, if with each launch of an expansion as well, there's typically a lot of opportunities right at the start if you get in. So I think that's all I can say. I don't know, Bolin, if you had anything you wanted to add there.
I would just add, as you said, our version of a scholarship program, which will not be called a scholarship program, but that's the easiest way to relate to it right now. But our version of that, we're working very hard on that right now. It's a very high priority. I've said it before, and I'll say it again just as a reminder. I don't think any of us expected to have to be as concerned about the barrier of entry as fast as we've needed to be concerned about the barrier of entry, which is a great problem to have. But definitely, part of the delay is just that it was something that we assumed we would need to look at, but a little bit farther out. We have moved that up. It is very, very high on the priority list. I know Dreamer in particular is working very hard on that, and also making sure that it addresses the pain points of other similar programs and really learning from what's already out there. But also, yes, please do enter our contests because they're fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for the answers. I appreciate it and bullish.
Take care. Maliance, did you want to go ahead? And I think you'll probably close us out here.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I just have a couple of quick questions. One about combat. As far as the typing influences are concerned on the cards versus the information that we've learned by looking at the blockchain with the abilities, will those types of our heroes change those abilities to their own molding, or will that be specifically like what those traits are?
You're referring to the passive and the active abilities that got mentioned a little bit ago.
So yes, like say basic 8 for instance with a dark hero, would that make it a dark ability, or would it be more likely that basic 8 would be like the actual dark ability if that was how it interacted?
So each of those passive and active skills are going to be like predetermined, not based on what they're combined with in terms of the class combination. It'll just as its own be this ability. So there will likely be some class combinations with the gene with those ability combinations that work better than others. And that's just kind of par for the course with the whole gene system, where you can have, you know, some hero that's really has really great stats and really great alignment, but for example, they don't have, like, you might have a ninja that has both agility and luck stat gene bonuses, but they are a minor, for example, and that's just kind of how things worked out. So you'll have hits and misses, and then kind of average quality stuff just with how things combine. So it'll be kind of along those same lines.
All right, thank you very much for that, and thank you guys for your time. If there's any kind of update you know at all about the tavern or anything, and if not, I completely understand. Again, thank you for your time.
No problem. Let's see, on the tavern, I know we're testing it right now, the API v6, and we're wanting to get that out as fast as we can. It's definitely a very high priority for us. I just don't know. My department's not really the one to say specifically when that's coming, but we're working on as hard as we can to get that out, because definitely understand the tavern has been, you know, very painful to work with so far, or recently. So
in fairness, my department is also not the right one, but I can tell you I've gotten to participate in a little bit of the testing so far. It's going well. It's already doing better than API v5, which in fairness at the moment, better is kind of a relative term, but in the grand scheme of things, it is already doing better. There are still a few kinks that we're working on working out so that it is fully functional coming out, rather than putting out API v6 with some issues still. That seems counterproductive. So it is being tested. It is going well. It is progressing. We are hoping to have it very, very, very soon. It is definitely top priority for our API devs, but no exact time frame yet.
All right, and again, thank you for that information you could give and just a little insight. Definitely appreciate it.
For sure. The thing that I meant to say earlier that I forgot, and then we'll close out, is I just wanted to give a general reminder that, you know, when we talk about upcoming features and timelines and that kind of stuff, all of that is absolutely subject to change. So please do keep that in mind. We try to answer questions as best we can and give information as best we can, because we know that y'all want the information, and it's fun to be able to have that engagement and have that conversation. But everything can shift as it comes closer and we figure out maybe something isn't quite balanced the way that it was intended to be, then it will shift accordingly if needed. So just bear that in mind whenever we're talking about future development, that we're talking about what we're planning on doing. Nothing is set in stone. Aside from that, did any of you gentlemen have closing comments before we end our AMA?
Let's see. I'll try to just be short, but I, you know, kind of echoing the same sentiment that many on our team have said in the past. Like, I very happy to be here and do this AMA with you guys. really do enjoy our community so much. Even though I don't come in and comment too often, I'm very often am reading what you guys are saying. At least for me, it seems like if I make any comment, then it becomes an AMA moment the moment I do that. So there are times I want to say something, but I'm like, oh, if I say something, then I'm just going to be stuck here in Discord for a while, and I'll have to let people down by not answering their questions and stuff. So, which is, I guess, a weird problem to have, but it's fun, and you guys are great. So, really happy to be on this project and happy to be here with you all. So that's all I have.
Yeah, I'll just kind of my parting comments here. As Hubert said, it's a fantastic team to be working with. It's really impressive to see the amount of effort and time that goes into all the details of this project, and it's amazing to see the talent that's there. And then also the community. I mean, it's tremendous to see all the input that you provide, and that's very important in the development of a project like this. So we appreciate all of you very much.
Yeah, just along those same lines, I'm sure you guys all realize that a lot of the people on this team are incredibly talented, and really, it's nice to have all that talent supported by such an amazing community. Like none of this would be possible without this community. So being a part of it, to the extent that I am, is it's a really amazing experience, and I'm looking forward to keep pushing forward with all the amazing things that we're going to be putting out in the game. But yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, not to sound too much like an echo chamber, but as somebody who does get to spend a pretty good amount of time with all of you in Discord, y'all are genuinely an amazing community. The best community I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of, without a doubt. The support that y'all have for everything we do is incredible, and it means a lot. And I can't stress how much it is seen and it means to our whole team. And that, when y'all have concerns and y'all have ideas, they are seen and they are heard. Obviously not everything gets implemented, but it is something that we do take our community feedback very seriously, and we want it to continue, and we want the engagement to continue, because y'all are an amazing that's here with us for this incredible journey. With that, we're going to go ahead and close it out. It's been a great AMA again. I appreciate everybody who posted questions ahead of time, as well as those that came up on stage to ask. And keep submitting questions to us. We'll have another AMA next week. I'm not sure which department that is, actually. I'll find out and let y'all know. But we have an AMA every week, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place, with different departments rotating through, so that we can keep answering as many questions as we can. So keep it coming. Y'all have a great day. Bullish, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bullish. Thanks, guys.
Bush. See you, everyone.